Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another exciting edition of Pardon Our Picks, where perfection is a work in progress. I'm your host, Sam. Alongside me, as always, is our host, Tarek. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing pretty well. How about you, buddy?
I'm doing great, Week 5, of course, coming up. With that, we have our football Jesus. How you doing tonight?
Feeling blessed, feeling awake. Can't wait to talk about this exciting week of football.
All right, and of course, the QB queen, Jessica. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I just found out that there's a coup against me, but you know, I shall prevail, so it's fine.
Hashtag Jexit. And then, of course, my little insider right here, Sammy. How you doing tonight? Words.
Fine.
Cool. Few words. I love it. So it's been it was an exciting week. Had a lot going on. And I gotta say, this is really the time when teams start to separate themselves. And if you're behind, you don't want to be further behind. This week might make or break somebody's season. I gotta ask, which team desperately needs that win? We're gonna start with Football Jesus.
That's me. And this team, I think, really needs a miracle from Football Jesus himself, and that's the Minnesota Vikings. They have so much riding on this current season. Justin Jefferson is in a contract year, and so is Kirk Cousins. So they're not going to let Justin Jefferson walk. He is arguably, if not the best player in the NFL. And Kirk Cousins is an aging quarterback who still has a lot left in the tank, but they need someone to play quarterback for them next year. They took the gamble and they let Dalvin Cook walk in the offseason. Their running game has not been stellar so far this year. So if they are intending to compete this year and for years coming up, they need to win some games to get those cheap years of Justin Jefferson, have them give them something other than just more disappointment.
You think the run game's going to pick up anytime soon?
Cam Akers looked pretty good last week, and Alexander Mattison, every time he's been given the starting job, has not looked like a starting running back in the NFL. So I think the potential's there, but I need to see more rather than just a couple of 6-yard runs from a guy they traded a late-round pick for.
All right, Jessica, what do you got? What play you got worked up here?
I'm going with the Cincinnati Bengals. More so because I think they actually have a shot at the postseason. They have the team to make the postseason, but they are really lacking. And whether it's the calf injury for Burrow or something else, the team's just not clicking. But he's clearly not seeing his receivers open. Even Jamar Chase had come out and said he's quoted as saying he's effing open. But so, I mean, I don't think that's frustration necessarily at Burrow, but he needs to get the ball more. They actually have a good shot. They have a bunch of young players. They're a solid team. They have a good shot at the playoffs. But to start, what are they? What's their record?
1-3 right now.
1-3, yeah, and they're in a tough division. That's the other thing. So they're fighting for a coveted spot in a division that is tough.
You think that calf injury has a lot to do with it?
I think it has a little bit to do with it, but I think because of that, he's hesitating a lot more to throw the ball, and he's basically stuck. He can't run the ball. He can't move around as much, so he's sitting in the pocket and getting sacked, and getting rid of the ball every chance he can, and it's not to a receiver. But he's also definitely not seeing his receivers that he would normally see. He's trying to throw the long ball, and there's plenty of like shorter routes that are guys are getting open. So he needs to take a step back and figure out what's going on there, or they need to sit him for a game if needed. He's not doing them any favors.
Yeah. Tarek, what do you think?
All right, so I didn't know how to go about this. There's a couple of different ways we go. Who needs a miracle that can almost do it? Who just needs a miracle? I decided to look at the 2 0-4 teams we got left in the league, and I think the Panthers are in more of a need to have somewhat of a shot. Bryce Young has not been living up to expectations. Could be just a mix mash of quarterback and system. Sometimes these quarterbacks don't can't find their groove in the NFL. They just aren't made for it. Their next two games I don't think are looking good for them because they go against Detroit and then Miami. So I don't think they're winning those unless it is a big miracle. But I think they're in the need of it for sure. That this number 1 overall pick can help them out and just do what was promised and can deliver it.
You think their defense is as good as advertised?
No, I think it's missing some cues. I mean, it looks to me like everything's just a big miscommunication. Like nothing. I mean, we've all played sports and football and things like that. Like you just know when things just aren't working right. And that's what it looks like to me. Whenever I watch the highlights, I haven't watched a game for them, but their highlights just look like everything's trying to go right and they go left.
What about you? What team do you think need to win this week?
I don't know.
You pick one.
I don't know which team.
Think the Ravens need to win this week?
Yeah.
Separate themselves?
Because it bugs. Yeah, and that's everyone's favorite.
It's everyone's favorite.
That is right, Sammy.
I'm gonna go a little different. Honestly, I think the team that most needs to win this week is the Houston Texans. Simply to prove that their 2-2 start is for real, and to try and get themselves up on the rest of the competition in their division. Jacksonville Jaguars have faltered. They're having a bit of a hard time. The Colts are 2-2. Everybody in that division is 2-2. So somebody needs to break out and become the leader in that group. And I think the Texans, with that star quarterback and some really good receivers, honestly, have a chance to separate themselves, have a chance to shock everybody and win a division that isn't as strong as all the other divisions. I think that if they win this week, that'll go a long way in changing some of the doubters.
Do you think the Texans, out of the 4 teams in that division, that they have the best shot of winning that division currently?
I think it's still the Jaguars' division to lose, but I think the Texans actually have a shot, considering how good their offense has been, and their defense has picked up a lot of the slack. So
I'd agree with that.
Speaking of picking up a lot of slack, let's take a look at our standings after week 4. Brady with the jump to second place. Big 13-3 week. Sammy with a little bit of a drop, bud.
Oh.
But that's okay. You're still right in it.
You're still beating me.
Still beating Mr. Tarek.
Well,
So
the Jackson plan is in full effect.
Don't get too comfortable in second place, Brady. We know you belong at the bottom.
You're supposed to be bringing me with you.
You're falling behind. I told you someone has to hold the door. Right now, that's you.
on the door. Speaking of, let's move on to our games of the week. We're gonna start with football. Jesus, give us that gospel.
Well, I mean, we kind of touched on this team a little bit, but my game of the week is the Cincinnati Bengals going up against the Arizona Cardinals. And really, the main story of this game for me is, are the Bengals for real this year? I mean, they have done nothing but add this offseason. They added what we thought was a top caliber left tackle in Orlando Brown Jr., who played for the Ravens and the Chiefs, who was arguably very good filling in on both of those teams. And they still have guys like Jamar Chase, T. Higgins at the wide receiver, and Joe Mixon at the running back. But their offense has looked everything of inept for 4 weeks. They've barely been in some of these games. While on the flip side, the team that I feel like every NFL pundit was looking at as being the worst team in this league, and the Arizona Cardinals, they haven't looked terrible with Josh Dobbs at quarterback, who was a end of training camp trade acquisition by this team to kind of come in and fill the shoes of Kyler Murray, which he has done pretty good, given the fact that he got maybe a week to learn the playbook and came in. So, as Jess alluded to, this is a must-win game for the Cincinnati Bengals. I do think that this is going to be the game where Cincinnati is going to be pulling out every single drop of energy they have in that playbook by, running maybe some trick plays, maybe some passes from Joe Mixon. Maybe they'll run some weird wildcat stuff. I don't know what it is about the Bengals this year, but they are not the team that we saw go deep into the playoffs last year. They need this win, and I'm putting my stamp on it right now. If the Arizona Cardinals win this game, the Cincinnati Bengals will not make the playoffs. I am picking the Cincinnati Bengals in this game, but it's going to be close and by a field goal.
So I'm also going with the Cincinnati Bengals here, but to put it into perspective, Joe Burrow, who just got this amazing contract because he's rated as one of the best quarterbacks in the league, he's currently rated lower than Zach Wilson. And so he's rated as the lowest or one of the lowest quarterbacks right now in the first 4 starts. I think that either they need to sit him for a few plays here and there, mix in the backup Browning, or they need to get a run game going a little bit more. Obviously, T. Higgins has been a non-factor so far most of the games. If you have him on your fantasy team, you know that. But Jamar Chase his frustration coming out, I think, is going to spark him to get the ball a little bit more. He's going to be targeted a little bit more. And I don't think the Cardinals are going to be able to defend against them mixing it up and doing what Brady's talking about with like trick plays and having more dynamic offense, catering to what their game plan needs to be with an injured quarterback. So I am taking the Bengals. I think it's going to be more than a field goal. I think they're going to take it by at least 7 to 10 points.
Yeah, the Bengals are kind of the almost Cinderella story here with the league this year. It's so much expectation and so many teams aren't living up to what we thought they were going to be. It's just, we can pick a handful of them. I talk to Brady every week at work and just say like, wow, it's so many games that it's the huge divide between the percentage of who's going to win, who's predicted to win. Like there's so many, normally I'm picking between 5 or 6 teams that are all like really close, and there's so many huge margins on all these teams. And the Bengals, I think they're picked, but I mean, they're just, again, but neither one of these teams have really lived up to what we thought they were going to do. I have the Bengals going as well, but I have the same thought as Brady that if they don't, then like they're going to put up a good fight, like they put up a good fight against the Ravens the other week, but it's just they're not finishing, they're not completing the challenge. So,
Who'd you pick in this game?
I think the Cardinals is going to win
The Cardinals.
because they are birds and they always win.
They've always been birds. This boy is 100% correct about that. They have never been anything other than a bird.
Yep.
This
But
isn't.
they are tied.
They are tied at 1-3. Yes, that's right. This has been a weird situation for the Bengals. I think the injury to Burrow has absolutely caused them to go 1-3. The reason why their offense is sputtered is because he can't throw the ball. He can't push off that back foot to throw the ball. Something every quarterback does. They have to push off that back foot to give themselves a little bit of oomph. The Arizona Cardinals, by the way, I have to say, everybody thought that they were going to be losing a lot of games this year and picking up a quarterback in the draft next year. That's what everybody thought they were doing. They were sucking for whoever's coming out of USC, Caleb Williams. But every single game this team is in it. Every single one. They got beat by the 49ers, and they still look decent in that game. Their defense was on point. They beat the Cowboys. Cowboys went into Arizona and got absolutely shellacked. They were up big on the Giants. They were up big on the Commanders. Both of them came back, but this team has been through a gauntlet at the beginning of the season, and as much as I really wanted to pick them this week, because I think they're the hotter team. I have the Bengals simply because I think the Bengals need it. They need it more. So let's move on to the next game of the week. Jessica, what do you got drawn up for us?
So my game of the week is the Jets and the Broncos. There's a little bit of a story back here. Obviously, Nathaniel Hackett is returning to face the Broncos. He was fired last year, which everybody knew he should be. Obviously, Sean Payton is struggling with similar things, but the team looks a lot different this year. Whether it's Sean Payton coming in and making changes or probably a combination of things. But even though the Broncos are 1-3, they've actually hung in there with some pretty decent teams to good teams, some hard fighting teams. The Commanders they hung in there with. And there was somebody else. Oh, they fought back against the Bears, which the Bears, yes, we all know they're horrendous, but they came back from a pretty serious deficit. In the third quarter, they scored like 17 points or something. So, I mean, that shouldn't go without mentioning. The Jets offense is not ranked super highly. I think Zach Wilson is finally starting to get a little bit. He looked a lot better this week. So I think that's going to continue on a positive trajectory. But their defense is pretty good. On the other side of the ball, the Broncos defense is not so good. Ranking last in the points per game. They're
Wonder why that is.
Why?
They gave up 70 to Miami.
Oh yeah, absolutely. that's definitely an outlier for sure. But
that's gonna inflate the numbers a little.
Yeah, it's a bit of an outlier. But the Jets are 25th in points per game, but the Broncos defense is like horrendous. I mean, they are giving up a ton of points no matter who they're going against. They're not holding any offense. So I think it's going to be an interesting matchup. I think Nathaniel Hackett walks away as the, feeling a little bit better about himself after getting fired last year. But I am taking the Jets in this one. I think the offense is going to look better than they have, and the defense is going to consistently look good.
Okay.
This one is interesting, and it wasn't me that picked it. It's weird hearing Jeff say things that normally I'm saying, try to defend Denver. But this is interesting. Denver finally got their first win last week. So I think I'm going with them just because I think they're going to be bolstered a little bit, and it's the Jets. They're not looking good. They're not doing well. So it's like, what worst team are you picking here? As I mentioned last week, Vance Joseph is still the defense coordinator for Broncos, which I don't think they should have brought him back after he was head coach 2 years ago. So it's just old head coaches against other old head coaches for the Broncos, just creating a weird like family reunion type thing where everyone hates each other. But I think the Broncos, I'm edging them. I'm hoping it's going to be small and not like another blowout. But at this point, I don't know which Broncos are going to show up. Are they going to really be bolstered by their win and think, yeah, we can finally do something? Are the pieces finally starting to fit? Or are they just going to like fall apart and have another like make the Jets look like freaking Tom Brady New England Patriots here? We'll see. But I'm going with Broncos, hopefully by an edge.
Well, I don't mean to poo-poo on Tarek's parade here.
Go ahead. I'll get an umbrella.
Yes, okay. Broncos, they won one last week, yay, against the worst team in the NFL, and the Chicago Bears. They were able to put up 31 points in a comeback victory against a absolutely horrendous defense with absolutely no players on that team that I can name. So hats off to the Broncos, while the Jets took Kansas City, who, we all know they're the darlings of the NFL and Patrick Mahomes. They took them to town, really. I mean, the defense played out of its mind. Zach Wilson looked like a reasonable starting quarterback in the NFL. I'm going with the New York Jets on this one because I think if the same script happens to where the Broncos opponent, aka the Jets this week, gets out to a large lead, I think the Jets defense is going to be more suited to stopping the Broncos offense rather than, the Bears, which I guess is more indicative of the Bears defense, which I think is more indicative of the Bears defense rather than the Broncos offense. I gotta say though, the Jets very well could be that other team that we didn't talk about in the opener about a must-win game. I mean, they were, one botched ball handle away from potentially beating the Kansas City Chiefs in what would have probably gone down as the upset of the year. So I think the Jets have a lot to play for this year, and I think Zach Wilson has a lot to play for this week.
Who did you pick?
The Jets.
Yeah, why'd you pick the Jets?
Because of my favorite team too.
They're one of your favorite teams, huh? You like the Jets?
I guess.
Fly, Jets, fly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Listen, the Broncos, they came back against a terrible team, the Bears, and quite frankly, they didn't deserve to come back and win that game because the Bears are terrible, and they were up by quite a bit. The Jets, however, they've shown fight. It's been really hard for them without Aaron Rodgers and Zach Wilson in, but they have the offensive firepower to overcome anything that Denver really throws at them. And I think of the little extra added bonus, I think the defensive coordinator, Nathaniel Hackett, he's going to be looking to get a little revenge, maybe lay it to him a little bit. I have the Jets in this one. I don't think it's going to be close. I think the Jets actually put up a decent amount. So
Yeah, this might be one of those games I change on Sunday then just after I've thought more about it.
I guess. Well, let's get to Tarek's game of the week. What do you got for us?
I got the Sunday night game, the Cowboys and the 49ers. So I think this one's interesting. There's a little bit of a rivalry there from back in the 90s with Steve Young and Troy Aikman. And knowing my dad who's a Cowboys fan, Sam who's a Cowboys fan, like I heard about this a lot. But this is interesting. As you see, it's 4-0 and the Cowboys are 3-1. The Cowboys have actually looked pretty good this year. Looks like they're getting some of their act together. They slammed against New England last weekend. I think this is going to be I think Cowboys are going to be able to just deliver 49ers their first loss. I think it's going to be close. I think it's going to be a really good game. Lot of back and forth, a lot of smash and grab, but I think Cowboys are going to come out with it in the end.
I like what I
Football Jesus?
Oh, hold on. I'm looking something up real quick. As professionals do, looking it up.
I don't look up things.
All right. So, Tarek, I think this is your worst pick of the year. I'm just going to put it out there. This is not
something.
how
That
we
is saying something.
This is not how we accomplish
Whoa.
Jackson. And I'll tell you why.
Tell me why.
Christian McCaffrey is the best running back in the NFL.
That's
The
my baby.
Cowboys' run defense is ranked right smack dab in the middle. It's 16th this year in yards per game. Christian McCaffrey is a yards after catch, yards after contact. He is the dual threat, all-purpose, 3-down back that every single NFL team wishes that they had. Now, I will agree with what you said that Dallas has looked really good this year, but their one loss came against the one team that they absolutely should have shellacked. This is the team that they need to beat in the San Francisco 49ers, and I do not think that this is a game that the Dallas Cowboys can win. San Francisco's defense is elite. Their offense is arguably elite just because of Chris McCaffrey. Haven't even mentioned Deebo Samuel or Brandon Ayuk yet. So I'm picking the 49ers in this game. I think it's going to be close, as in, as close as Hawaii and Alaska are to each other. But
Now, are you talking about in reality or on the map that we all thought they were right there next to each other?
in reality,
No,
as
I think the
crow
map.
flies-
I think the map where they're both in the bottom left-hand corner of the U.S.
As the crow flies, that little dot that you see on like Santa trackers, where in Alaska and Hawaii. I think San Francisco is going to win this one by 17. Honestly, I think this is going to be one of those games where Dak Prescott kind of shows that he's a good quarterback, but he makes really poor decisions in the clutch.
Ooh, yeah. I mean, okay, so I actually said that about Dak Prescott. Not last. Was it? No, it had to be 2
You-
weeks ago. I
You
wasn't
weren't
on
here
here.
last week.
Who did they play 2 weeks ago? Somebody that's a good rush defense, pass rush defense.
Who? I don't remember.
Whoever it was, but I did say under pressure, Dak Prescott tends to make not so great decisions. He did fine though.
They played the Cardinals 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
Yeah, they played the Jets the week before that.
Oh, it was the Jets I was talking about. I feel like they played the Cardinals. Like, oh, that's right. All right. Anyway, but the Jets are not the San Francisco 49ers. They do not have Nick Bosa. Nick Bosa is gonna be trouble. And I don't think Dak Prescott's going to make a ton of mistakes. Don't get me wrong. However, as Brady was naming the stacked offense and the stacked defense, it is going to be, and not to mention, I mean, I'm sure the Dallas Cowboys have like a vendetta because they were knocked out by San Francisco, which everybody except for Sam knew they would be. But they were the best team in the league. However, they almost made it to the Super Bowl on a like third string quarterback. However, I think it's going to be a good game. I think it's going to be like a hard hitting, physical, elite athlete game.
Knock your
I'm
socks
excited
off
to
type
watch
game.
this. However, San Francisco's taking this by 10 points.
However, Sammy, who you got in this game, bud?
San Francisco.
49.
Yes.
He never picks
He
Cowboys.
refuses.
We already know who he's
Fight
going
the
to pick.
system, Sammy.
Fight the systems. Cowboys
Fight the
3-1.
Cowboys.
He's gotten that game wrong 3 times. So
Yep. 1, 2, 3.
that's right. You got San Francisco. You know, I think San Francisco's a really good team.
Yep.
Dallas is dealing with the loss of Trayvon Diggs. It's going to be a little harder for them to cover some of these receivers. However, Deebo Samuel's still a little injured with the ribs, so that he's not being targeted in the pass game right now. At least he wasn't last week. He's day to day. I think he'll still suit up and play on Sunday. This is going to be a very interesting game. Yes, these two teams did face each other in the NFC divisional round last year and may provide a little more motivation for Dallas. Quite frankly, if Dallas wins this, it's going to be a hard fought victory. And with that, I'm picking Dallas. That's right. Dallas Cowboys going to win this game like they should have in the divisional round. Pollard's not going to get hurt. The line's good. I think that the line will be I think the Dallas Cowboy line is going to be what holds up that offense this week. So it's going to be close. I got Dallas, man. Partly because San Francisco's got to lose at some point.
I mean, technically they don't, but
Technically they don't, but they're going to lose to somebody at some point. I think Dallas
Might
Cowboys
as well
are the
be
best
Dallas.
opportunity. Yeah. So Dallas for the victory. Now, let's get on to our pop panel pick'ems, of course, brought to you by Aardvark Concepts Incorporated. More than just a sign shop, they are located up in Westminster for all of your sign and decal needs. Let's move on. Let's take a look. We got one person picking the Jaguars this week. Little upset.
is
So
that
what's it me?
is that exit plan, or you
I
got some
picked the
insider
ball.
information about Josh Allen
Yeah,
needed
exactly.
like gallbladder surgery or something?
I don't.
Mm.
I'm hoping at some point that they turn around, but this might be another one of my whoops.
To be fair, the Jaguars and the Buffalo Bills are playing in London.
I was
So-
going to ask that again.
And the Jacksonville Jaguars have stayed in London since their game last week, so their bodies are more acclimated to the change.
Yes.
So it's a potentially good pick, but after the Bills again, it's my word of the week, shellacked the Miami Dolphins, as Sam so expertly predicted last week.
We're almost done.
It's just hard to pick against them.
I picked them as well. Just saying.
Well, Sam was the one that said, how many times have you seen a team put up like 70 points and then, not show up the next week? So
Yeah, to be fair, we didn't have your picks last week, Jess. So we don't know what you picked.
All part
If
of
you
the Brexit
watch
plan.
the Brexit video,
Anyway, let's move on to the next set. And we have two people picking the Saints this week. Against
That's how we do Jexit, Brady.
yeah,
Take
well,
it back to the bottom.
No. See, they messed up last week by putting Derek Carr in that game. They should have not put him in that game. But Mac Jones is a below average quarterback, and I think that defense is going to feast on him and his poor decisions this week.
Hang on. Did I pick them? I did.
You did
Oh,
pick.
it's a toss up for me because Judon is hurt, so that one could change for me.
Quite
Yeah,
frankly, I don't think the Saints defense is all that great. I think they just ran into the New England Patriots ran into a pretty good defense last week, and Bill Belichick just wasn't ready. He doesn't do that 2 weeks in a row, which is why I picked New England.
and clean sweep for Baltimore because Kenny throws Pickens.
No.
And Najee Harris looks like he runs with jeans on. So
We had a guy on my track team we called Jeans because he practiced in jeans every week.
that seriously, watch the game when Najee Harris gets the ball. He looks like he's running in like starched denim.
Well, on a team like that, I wouldn't be running too hard either. So let's move on to the next set. Of course, we have one person picking the Broncos and a surprise pick. A surprise pick for the Vikings.
Who's that? That's going down in the elevator, guys.
My
You
goodness, that's a lot of people.
I'm waiting, and I will wait to see that like 9-7 record of yours
It's
next
like
year.
eagle,
Flip it.
eagle, eagle.
Aren't you just saying how Justin Jefferson is not gonna lose?
Eagle.
No, I was saying he's in a contract year. so
Everybody-
Vikings are
everybody
going to do
pick him.
something this
And how
year.
this is a must win.
Eagle.
They need one, but is it going to happen this week? Probably not.
We
That's
see.
a
I mean, let's be honest. If Taylor Swift's in the building, the Kansas City Chiefs are going to win the game. So
that's true.
I don't trust that.
Hashtag Kaler.
It's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite of Jessica Simpson for
And
Tony
Tony
Romo.
Mhm.
Tony Romo had a lot more problems than when she was.
I
in the-
know, but it was a lot worse when Jessica Simpson was in flashing her little pink jersey. So
Hey, Carrie Underwood was there too. Don't get it wrong. He dated a lot of
we don't-
very attractive country stars.
You don't talk bad about Carrie Underwood in these videos.
I'm not talking bad about her. I'm saying she was there.
Speaking of, can we talk about the Monday Night Football theme song versus the Sunday night? Oh my god, Monday Night Football theme song is amazing,
Mhm.
amazing.
I'm with Jess
Stapleton
on
and
this
Snoop
one.
Dogg. Oh my god,
Oh, I haven't heard it yet.
it's amazing. It's so good. We need that.
And we move on to the Sunday and Monday night games, and Jessica again picking against the grain, but I guess this is where she makes her bones if they get it right.
We're gonna go up.
I mean,
Or
if Jimmy G's out again, I'm not picking the Raiders to win another game.
Yeah, if he's out. But I don't, it was concussion protocol, wasn't it?
He was concussed last
So-
week.
Typically, he should be back by now.
Should, but it's the Raiders, and we all know how they like to, shall we say, fumble the bag with good players. So
now I don't trust.
I just want to say, Brady, saying someone's concussed always sounds weird to my ear because I don't normally hear Americans say that.
he got a little head boo boo. Better.
I'm just seeing two of them. It's okay. I don't really trust the Green Bay Packers, but I really don't trust the Raiders, so I couldn't pick that one.
That one's tough though.
All right.
Don't forget to
All right. Thank you guys so much for watching and join us for another week of football. Make sure you hit that like button, comment below, answer our question at the beginning, who you think needs the win the most, who needs a miracle, and comment who you think is right and who you think is wrong, and be like Brady's mom that keeps commenting he needs a haircut.
Yes.
Subscribe so you know when we drop our videos. I'm trying to premiere these every Thursday at 11. we'll see how long I can keep that up and schedule it. As always, again, thank you. I'm Tarek.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Football Jesus. Hashtag Jegs in the comments.
Hashtag Jexit.
Who are you?
Sam.
And I'm Sam. And you have a great football week.
And don't forget to like on the video.